Keep on moving, keep on moving. This one keep on moving, keep on Hello, everybody that is somebody, anybody that knows somebody in the gospel industry. I am so honored tonight to introduce to you on my platform, Mr. Larry Robinson.
What's up, wifey?
Hey, I done graduated. I'm in a Quentin Simon video, and
Yay.
my husband is Mr. Larry Robinson. Y'all got to be on the lookout for He Brought Me Out. We had so much fun and having a good time. And we're showing you how to come out of a troubled relationship, a troubled, marriage, whatever you're going through, and He brought me out. So, other than that, we want to get to know you, Mr. Robinson. For all who don't know, I know you're great. Kingdom right here, guys. I mean, you can't get no better. This is Mr. Larry Robinson. He is the editor of the Gospel Updates magazine, who has all your favorite gospel singers in it. He also has his own little private studio that you can go into, and he has all kind of guests on there all the time. He is just a public guy, just a humanitarian. He is just helping all kind of people in the industry. So, Larry, welcome.
You know, it's so funny. You said Larry Robinson. Even my closest friends don't even call me Larry Robinson. They always say Larry W. Robinson. So you just say Larry Robinson kind of tickles me because nobody calls me Larry Robinson. But like you said, I am the publisher of Gospel Updates magazine. Oh, let me also say this. I actually partner with Your Life Media and Marketing Studio in Houston, Texas, for my my podcast, my video podcast, which you were a guest on recently. So I'm excited about that partnership. And did you have a blast?
I met so many people, and I knew so many people that were there already. I really enjoyed it.
And I usually don't tell the invited guest who the other invited guests are. I just like, that everybody kind of show up and be like, hey, how you been? What you been up? That kind of, I like that kind of.
I was shocked, but I was glad because I so enjoyed hearing, the other guest testimonies and their visions and all the things, it was very empowering.
Yeah. And so what we're talking about is Houston Gospel Conversations. That's where we come together and literally tell. And when I say Houston Gospel Conversations, most people know gospel means the good news. So I invite guests to come talk about the good news of what they've been doing, but then also have a conversation and share advice for creatives. And so as you are creative, you noticed a lot of the other creatives were in the room as well. And so we just had a good old mastermind session that just so happened to be on video.
Man, if y'all haven't been in a Larry Robinson setting, it's such a blessing. I mean, the whole environment is anointed. And I felt like I was surrounded by intellectuals, but the intellectuals weren't so intellectual that they didn't know that they better put God in front.
Listen. Yeah. And then, we had two doctors of one in psychology, and I forgot what the other one is, but so it was a good mix. We had recording artists, authors, creators, playwrights. It was a wonderful experience.
I wouldn't have missed it for the world.
And thank you so much for coming.
You're so welcome. I can't wait to do it again.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I know that you're from the Lake Charles area.
I am. I'm from, we call it Southwest Louisiana, Lake Charles, and then the surrounding area. So we just really say Southwest Louisiana. But yeah, from there, most of everything that I have done professionally started in Lake Charles. I started on the little AM station in Lake Charles, and then worked at most of the FM stations in Lake Charles, even American Family Radio. There was an American Family Radio in the city, and I was actually an announcer on American Family Radio. So
y'all just don't even know. This man shakes hands with the elite, okay? And if anybody knows about Lake Charles, it's hard to even. I mean, who would have thought to even crawl up out of a shell?
That's funny.
Because they don't have the same opportunity. I'm just keeping it real. They don't have the same opportunities like they do in Houston.
Now, I must say, let me tell you something funny. One of my mentors, when I decided to come to Houston, one of my mentors told me, and at first I felt bad. She said, "And don't come back." I was
See?
like, wait a minute now. But she says, "You're going to have a blast in Houston." And she was correct. Matter of fact, one of my clients told me not to come back. They're are in Lake Charles, but they have children here in Houston. When they found out that I came to Houston, they was like, "Don't come back to Lake Charles." I was like, "Oh."
Because he's saying that because I mean, even though everybody want to sit here and say, "Oh, the world has changed," we're not going to use excuses. Lake Charles is still Louisiana, and it's one of those places that with your skin color, I'm just putting it out there, you're not getting no further than what they want you to be.
Well, now that might be true, but let me just say, Lake Charles has been amazing to me. That has not been my experience, thank God. But I have been able to do some amazing stuff in Lake Charles. I've always been in the community. I actually started out with the Black Heritage Festival of Louisiana.
Okay.
And so I volunteered for Black Heritage Festival. And then I started doing public events probably when I was 19 years old.
Okay.
And the community kind of embraced me. And I've done the gospel music honors in Lake Charles, which is where we honor local citizens for their contributions to the preservation of the message and presentation methods of gospel music. And then we did the Black Business Honors, where we honor locally owned Black businesses and employees of Black businesses. And the community rallied behind me, and I can't even lie, I have had a great experience in Lake Charles. Even being on the radio a couple of times, I was #1 in the books, so that lets you know that people listen and support it. So my testimony is Lake Charles has been great to me, and even since I've been here in Houston, Lake Charles has still been supporting me. Like when I was in the plays, a lot of the ticket sales that was sold was from people in Lake Charles.
Well, I'm gonna say, hey, you enlightened me, so I don't
Yeah, Lake
want
Charles has been great to me.
the community must have come together then. It's been
Absolutely.
a minute.
I've had a blast in Lake Charles.
That's good. Okay. I love Louisiana. That's where my mom is. Well, she's from New Orleans, and my dad is from Mississippi.
Oh wow. Okay.
But when I was coming up, it just seemed like everything was just so limited for a Black person.
Now I will say this as far as like I was telling somebody here in Houston, I says, y'all just don't know. Let me give you an example. We have some amazing, let me say before I say this, we have amazing singers in Lake Charles, but there are some amazing singers times 1,000 here in Houston. And I went to an event when I first got to Houston, and I was just shocked. Like I was sitting in the audience, like nobody else in here hears this but me, because everybody was just sitting like it wasn't great. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And let me just say, I love Kim Burrell. I love Zacote Cortez. I love, all the people that we see on the national platform.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't until I got here that I noticed that as great as Kim, as great as Zacote, and as great as all of those people that even Yolanda, and everybody knows I love Yolanda, but as great as they are, there's some singers here that are great, or if not greater. I was like, wow. So I don't know if it's in the water or what's going on here in Houston, but there's some amazing people and talented folk here in Houston.
Well, I can tell you, the culture of worship here is just crazy. Like that's why, I've been going around to a lot of the churches lately and recently, and I've got to meet a whole bunch of different people from Dallas all the way to down here. These worship leaders are going in. Now they're going through it on the same note, but they're fighting their way through.
Mm-hmm. And help me with this, because I'll come from Lake Charles is kind of small compared to Houston. very small compared to Houston. But when I actually first noticed it even before Houston, but in Atlanta, when I lived in Atlanta, that the worship leaders or the Christian singers, gospel singers, also equally and just as great or good sing other genres of music.
Yeah.
Here's an example. I'm not gonna name no names. I'm not gonna throw anybody under the bus. But I saw when I first got here, and I will say this: my buddy Zay Lamb, he was doing Therapeutic Sundays, and so I saw a flyer for Therapeutic Sundays, and I told him about this, so I can say this. But on that flyer, he had Yolanda Adams, Kim Burrell, Kathy Taylor, Nikki Clegg Fox. Ernest P. He had a whole bunch of these people. I said, "Oh my gosh, this is gonna be amazing!" So I got me a little VIP ticket and went. And so actually, it was getting closer to the start time, and I'm looking around. I ain't see Yolanda. I ain't see Nick. I ain't see none of the people. I was like, "Well, okay." And it was jam packed. I said, "Well, maybe they're gonna come out from the back. Maybe you gonna bring them out one at a time." And but as it got closer, I text Ernest Pugh. I was like, "Hey, are you coming?" And he says, "Well, I'm outside," and I'm not gonna get into what else happened, but none of those, Kim, Kathy, none of them came that night. And so I was like, I must have didn't read something right. So I went and got that flyer again, and then I noticed way down at the bottom it said tributes to. There will be tributes to those artists. So I hit him up, and we cool now. But I said, "Boy, don't do that no more." I was expecting all these people here. He said, "No, doing tributes." But I said, "Okay." Well, I said, "Well, next time you got to be a little bit more clearer on those flyers because I really thought." And I know we always say you shouldn't come. You should be personality driven. You shouldn't come just for the. But I especially because I had not met Yolanda Adams since I had been here in Houston, and I really wanted to see her live and in person. She's come to my hometown. I met her several times in person. She's always been sweet to me, and so I just wanted to see her here in the city. But I did not get an opportunity to see her, and I thought, okay, she's gonna be at this event, but she wasn't. Now, fast forward, I have met her a couple of times after that. But anyway, so I kept going to these Therapeutic Sunday events, and I met some amazing singers. And here's where I was going with that. As equally as an anointed as they were in Therapeutic Sunday, which is the gospel event, I saw other flyers with their names on them, and I just went because I said, "Oh, that was that person from Therapeutic Sunday. I'm going to go and check them out." Well, what I didn't read the fine print that it was like an R&B or other John Jazz or other John.
Yeah, okay.
And it did great. I listen to that stuff too, but I'm not as often as much as I listen to gospel. But I just thought it was so interesting that they can be so anointed, and trust me, I feel Jesus on them, and be able to do R&B just as well.
So, okay, let's talk a little bit more about you.
Okay.
Okay, you're a man with many hats. So, what did you study?
In college, mass comm and speech communication. That was what I went to college for. And it's funny, I have a story similar to Oprah Winfrey's, where she was, I think, studying mass comm at the university, and she went to a local radio station and read the script for the news, and they offered her a job. Well, while I was at college studying mass comm and speech comm, the owners and stuff from the local AM radio station called for me. I got I got a message on my answering machine at home saying that they wanted me to come and work for the radio station. And most of my friends know I've always said that I wanted to be on the radio. So I thought my friends was playing a joke on me. So I haphazardly called the radio station. I said, "Hey, I got this message on my answer machine. Somebody said that they wanted me to come and host the morning show." So the young lady was like, "Larry W. Robinson?" I said, "This is he." She says, "Mr. Johnson is looking for you. He really wants you to come and host the morning show." And so, how soon can you get here? And I was like, "Well, I can come now." And so I went down now. And from that week to this day, I've been on somebody's radio station across the country, across the world, really.
So was that what your goal was when you were studying?
To be on the radio?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I've always wanted. Like I have been influenced by Walt Baby Love. I've been influenced by Diane Blackman. Walt Baby Love. He used to have Gospel Insider. I mean, excuse me. Walt Baby Love used to have Gospel Tracks, and then Diane Blackman had something called Gospel Insider. And so I would listen to that. And so, like many people, like it's full disclosure, like my gospel updates that I do was inspired by Diane Blackman's Gospel Insider, because I would hear her talk to the artist. And this is before I realized how syndicated radio worked. Mm-hmm. I remember I interviewed Walt Baby Love years ago. And, I was telling him, hey, I've been listening to you since I was, small. And, I enjoy your work, and then he said that he had just interviewed BeBe Winans, but before he said that he records his stuff from home, and so of course I was coming to the station, and even when I had interviews, I would have to book them and then come back to the station and do them and all that, and so Walt Baby Love says that he had just interviewed BeBe Winans, and I said, oh wow, BeBe came to your house. And so he was like, what do you mean he came to? I said, you said you record your show from home, right? You said, yeah. I said, well, how did you do BeBe if he didn't come to your house? So he said, well, no, I got a recorder. Like he called me and we did. I said, oh, you could do that, because I was, young. So he said, well, yeah. He said, you don't record call. You don't. I said, I take calls on the phone at the radio station, but I don't record them. We just air them. Whatever. He says, ask your production. I forget the guy's engineer. He said, tell your engineer at the radio station that you desire to record interviews at home. Ask him what equipment you need.
Right.
And so now you're laughing, but this was like early 90s. Right. So all this technology stuff we didn't have. So I literally went to what they call Radio Shack. I don't even think they have a Radio Shack anymore, but got equipment from Radio Shack to record. And this is before Skype and Zoom and all this stuff that we can record now. I literally had to hook my phone up to all that stuff and be able to record and then produce that material and come back to the radio station, use it for whatever I wanted to use it for. But Paul Shimino is actually his name, the engineer. He showed me how to do that. And then, of course, I've been doing it since the early 90s. So we've advanced in technology back then. So I'm telling my age, but back then we didn't have all this fancy stuff.
Okay. Well, I have a couple of more questions. But are you a content creator?
I am. I was on, and listen, when I say country, I thank God for the life and ministry of Zael. I don't know if you know them. They're out of Shreveport, Louisiana. They did some Clark Sister covers way back in the day, but they're still one of my favorite groups, them and Risen, girl groups. But Zael is from Shreveport, Louisiana. And I was doing something called Gospel Singing on the Spot. That's where I would call an artist up and give them a song out of Clear Blue Sky and say sing. And so I did a lot of people. You people can go to gospelsingingonthespot.com to listen. But so my friend Keandra is in that group, and then Christina Bale is in that group, and Crystal and all the rest of them. But I called, I think, Keandra and asked Keandra, because I was doing gospel singing on the spot. I called her and say, hey, I want to do a gospel singing on the spot with you guys, because I was doing it by phone. And so she was like, well, Larry, we all live in Shreveport, but we don't all live in the same house. She said, I don't know how this is going to work. I said, oh, yeah, you're right. So fast forward, I think I was on an event and they were on an event at the same time, like on a Friday night, a couple of weeks later. So I called Keandra back. I said, hey, we're going to be on the same event Friday night. So I said, why don't we do it there? And so we did. We did Gospel Singing on the Spot live in Lafayette, Louisiana. And this was when, I'm telling my age again, this is when MySpace was big. So I put that video on MySpace. and people were clicking and watching it, whatever. And so this is when YouTube had kind of just got started. So somebody said, you ought to put that video on YouTube. And so I literally put that video on YouTube, and the rest is history. That's all I can say. So most people that have known me for over like 15 years know me from Gospel Singing on the Spot.
Okay, so I mean, I don't have to ask you what brought you over to the gospel side. You like you didn't stay with R&B at all. You
what? Let me be honest now. This is gospel is all I really know. So I got my start in gospel and have just kind of stayed with it. Now it's for. Let me tell you a funny story. So in our household, we really could listen to the radio, and we really could listen to R&B music. So my first introduction to R&B music was actually, I want to say, in high school. A young lady bought me a acrylic. I'll never forget, a see-through cassette tape player. And she bought it for me for Christmas. And so then I put it in my bag, went to Christmas break, came back, and it just so happened I pulled that thing out and it was still in the pack. So she was like, well, Larry, you didn't use your tape player? I say, well, I don't have nothing to play on it. I didn't have any tapes. So she says, I'm going to buy you a tape. So she, the next day she brought back the first tape she bought for me that I put in and listened to was Whitney Houston. The first song I heard from Whitney Houston was I Found Out What I've Been Missing, Always on the Run. That was my first introduction. And when I tell you I was a Whitney Houston fan for life.
Yeah, who wasn't?
Listen. And so by the time, so I think that was like in the 9th grade, maybe. So by the time I got to my senior year, I Will Always Love You came out, and that was jam. So that was my introduction to like R&B, and then of course I started listening to other stuff. But gospel is where I started and what I've always wanted to play.
Okay, good. So did you come from a religious family?
Yes. Okay. You know how people say I was literally born on the pew or whatever that little phrase is. I was literally born in church.
So your dad was a pastor, or?
No, my dad was not a pastor. My mom was a Sunday school teacher.
Okay, there you go.
You know what that's about.
Yes.
So yeah, and I was in the choir. Almost every facet of the church, I've actually played a role in.
You just all around. I'm around the church doing what I can. I'm checking you out.
Well, can I say something? Now, I know I'll probably get rebuked severely for this, but so when I moved here to Houston, we have a plethora of churches. There is no shortage of churches here in Houston. And so the church I actually go to, I actually am being refreshed, empowered, and renewed because I actually just get to go and be Larry. I'm not serving in any capacity right now. I've just been going as a member. And when I tell you that has been the most liberating thing in my life.
Amen.
So
need that sometimes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what does the W stand for?
Wonderful.
That's right.
I used to tell people that it stands for Larry Wonderful Robinson. My mama named me after Jesus. He's a wonderful counselor. In his way.
So, all right. So I couldn't ask that question.
What
does the W stand for?
Did you? I said Wayne. Wayne.
Oh, Wayne. Okay, it wasn't clear. Okay, Wayne, y'all. That's it. So Larry Wayne Robinson. That's his name. So, are you the only child?
No. I have a younger sister, and then I have some cousins that are like sisters and brothers to me. So I have, and then I have 2 god brothers who are more like brothers to me. As a matter of fact, my brother called me just day before yesterday, and because we hadn't talked in a minute, and I was like, "Hey, where you been?"
Well, you certainly made a name for yourself in this industry. I've seen him interview CeCe Winans, and just to name a few.
Let me just say that interview almost didn't happen, but by the grace of God, she was on a press junket that particular day. And I don't know if you noticed, but in that video, she had the baby Wyatt, her grandson.
Yeah.
So she was behind from, I think she was talking to The View or something that day, or even the talk, but they had gotten behind, and so they were canceling, some of the interviews, and so when she got to me, she just said, "No, I'm gonna do this one." And but they couldn't get Wyatt to be quiet, so they had to bring the baby to her, and she was able to calm the baby down. So when she popped on, she says, "Well, hey Larry, I don't know if they told you, and they did, that we've been behind and we've been kind of canceling some interviews, but I really wanted to do your interview today." She says, "But if you don't mind, we couldn't get the baby to be quiet, so they had to bring the baby to me. Do you mind if I do the interview with the baby?" And I said, "Here's one thing I know. People love CeCe Winans and people love babies." So I said, exactly. So she did that interview, and I think I was the only interview that day that she did with Wyatt.
Well, if you have not gone to look at the Larry Williams show, you are missing out.
Larry W. Robinson. There is a Larry Williams, but I'm not him. You
can say that. He made me interview him at night, y'all. Larry W. Robinson. Look, y'all need to edit that part. Don't put that.
Well, you don't have to edit. It's all good. But you know what? People also call me Larry D. Reed all the time. People walk up to me and see my shirt, and it clearly says Larry W. Robinson. But it's like they see Larry D. Reed and be mad at me. I'm like, listen, that he's my friend. I love him, but I'm not him. I'm Larry W. Robinson.
That's right. So, and I know who you are. So, okay. So I want to know, with all that being said and all this great stuff you're doing, meeting all these celebrities and stuff, could you ever see yourself doing? You flew. And I mean, I love it that you had a vision from day one. People love what you were doing. And y'all can see, like, the way Larry is right now in this interview, he don't change. That's the way he always is. You can approach him. He will help you with anything that you're asking him for, and if he can, he's just going to be honest about everything. And that's the type of people, positive energy that we want to be around. So, down to earth too, he's not always name dropping. I got to bring out some stuff about him, because I just love the humility that he holds. I know. Well, I'm not gonna get into your personal life. Any children, anything like that?
I have 2 girls. I have 2 daughters. If I don't say this, they gonna be mad.
Yeah, that's right. I'm making them give y'all props right now.
It's all good. But yeah, they think they grown. Yeah, but I have to tell them I changed your diapers. You never grown.
Cool. Okay, so all right, I want to know, with all that stuff that you're doing, you're coming up with a book now. So tell us about
that. So I actually have 2 books. Actually, the first book, and both of these books came out in 2023. But this one is All Things Are Working for My Good. This is actually a devotional journal, affirmations and declarations to energize and encourage your life. And so, yeah, so it is what this is. But the one I'm passionate about both, but this one right here, Whispers of the Soul. This is a prayer journal. It's 50 prayers for the peaks and valleys of your life. So people can actually go to Larry W. Robinson and get both of these. But yeah.
I was gonna say, you should have had them at the studio.
Well, I did actually. I passed out those bookmarks, and on the bookmark it had the QR code. You could have got it. I'd have got a notification on my phone. But yeah, we had them. I had maybe 1 or 2 in my bag, but it was for you guys. I was coming to promote you guys. I wasn't coming to promote myself.
That's all right. I know where to go find it at. But yeah, I've been wanting to read those lately because I study my word and everything, but sometimes we need a little extra help. Like, where should we be today, God? And those help us.
So but this book my grandmother gave me a black book of prayers years ago. And when I was on the radio, I would read those black book of prayers on the air, like a prayer. Mm-hmm. And one day, and I used to keep my music. I'm still about to tell Maze, I carried a suitcase full of CDs to the radio station with me when I would go play the music. and I had that book of prayers sitting on top of the CDs on my back seat in the car. Well, one day when I went out to go to the radio station, my window was bust in,
Oh no.
and the bag was gone. Now, can I be honest? I didn't care about them CDs. I was like, oh my gosh, they took my prayer book. But so this book is kind of inspired by that book. So I put some prayers in this book that people actually can model and pray. So I would read those prayers, but from those prayers help me birth my own prayers.
Amen.
So that's the same with this book. It's, you can read these prayers, but as you're reading them, my intention and hope and a prayer is that it'll inspire you to pray more effectively yourself.
So he prayed to get his prayers, and the Lord led him how to get his prayer book. So where can we find this book at?
LarryWRobinson.com.
Oh, okay. The actual website, LarryWRobinson.com. Y'all heard it right here. Please pick up your book, Whispers of the Soul. I can't wait to read it. I'll be getting it. Thank you. You're welcome. So, okay. Where do you see yourself going? Have you done it all, or are you just getting started? Or
listen, I just told this to my mentor. I said, listen, I don't believe in retirement.
Okay.
I'm gonna have a microphone at 99 plus talking about something. So I'll never retire. I believe that communicating to the masses is just part of how God wired me, and why I'm part of why I am here on the planet. So I have no plans to retire. Currently, I am working on the Larry W. Robinson Show. It's the syndicated show that we've been distributing to radio stations around the world. Just this week, I had an opportunity to interview with the one and only Christopher Williams. And a few friends of mine was like, he sing gospel now? I was like, I think Christopher Williams. It's actually Pastor Chris, but he's an amazing guy. And I heard that you interviewed him as well.
Wasn't he awesome?
He was. I was like, come on, Pastor.
I enjoyed him.
Yeah, so that's on my most recent broadcast. Oh, and I also did I call What I Found on Social Media. A friend of mine sent me a gospel tune from Esther Roll from Good Times. Did you know she had a music project out?
No, I didn't. Was she singing?
She has a project. You got to listen to it. I'll send you the link so you can listen to it. But I was like, man,
oh my gosh, because her voice was so deep and serious and everything. Yeah, I want to hear that.
Really good. And then also in this segment, I had a gospel singing on the spot segment that I did. I did Twinkie last week. Who did I do this week?
Look at you.
Lord, my memory escapes me, but I do have a gospel singing on the spot segment with somebody. And so many people.
Hold on. If y'all don't know who Twinkie is, y'all need to get to listening to gospel for more.
And she was so let me tell you, she's so sweet. Like, she's one of the sweetest people I've met. And she has a little her mother in her now. Let's not let that but she's genuinely a sweet person, and I love the way she genuinely really wants to be a blessing to people. You know what I mean? Like, she came on the broadcast like, whatever you need, how can I just be a blessing to your broadcast today? And I was like, oh wow, okay. Because most people come on, they're trying to promote something, their new single or whatever. But she just, whatever you need me to do to be a blessing, that's why I'm here today. I was like, wow, that's refreshing. That's
what I love about the old saints. They just support it.
Yeah. And then I asked her to sing my favorite song, and she did. She said, "This is just for you, Larry." I was like, "Oh,
oh my God, you gonna make them sing."
Look, I was on cloud 9 for the rest of the day.
Wait a minute, let me pick my favorite song for you to sing. Yeah, he did that to me on his show. And I enjoyed it. So you don't sing, is that it?
You're not about to put me on the spot.
Okay, that's all right. I'm gonna pray for you.
Look, we're gonna be at divorce court again.
That's okay. whatever you don't have, God compensated for it greatly, and you have it makes up for what singing.
Oh, you know what? I now why I am have planned, because you asked what I had planned in September of 2024. I don't know when this is going to air, but it's September 2024. I'm in a stage play that I'm excited about. Yeah. So I actually did it last October, I think. When Love Ameliorates was the name of it, and so we're redoing it. And let me tell you something. We were talking about you being my wife in Quentin's video, but in this one, I'm playing I don't want to give it all away, but I'm playing somebody's boyfriend. Let me just put it that way. And listen, when I tell you I am giving her the blue, y'all got to go see this play. I don't want to give it all away, but I had a blast acting a pure D fool in this play.
Hey, you want to know why we ended up in therapy?
Right.
All this is going on.
Oh, that was hilarious.
Anyway,
and you know what's funny? Like after the play, people came. You go out and people go and talk to the actors and stuff. Everybody just passed me right on by. Everybody was mad at me. I was like, it was a character.
Yeah, they been taking up.
They were mad at me for real. I was like, this is acting.
Larry, you are just a gift to any platform. You find, I think, even though you have done, okay, I want to put it out there right now.
Okay.
And don't you dare dispute me on this.
Okay.
People think that you just ended up being blessed like you are. Tell them about the hard work you put into this.
Listen, I just was telling one of my best friends, it seems just like yesterday, but it was literally, I want to say about almost 20 years now. But back in the day, Charlotte, I, on my own dime, would travel from like New York to California. Now, let me say this: when I'm saying New York to California, but I literally went from New York to California creating content for some of the stuff that even my cousins, who are my first cousin's children, so I guess it's my second cousins, they'll see stuff and be like, you famous. I'm like, I'm not famous, but they're seeing stuff, that the content that I created years ago, and I look like a baby, on those videos, some of those videos. But it's about being passionate about what you do. First of all, knowing that God called you to do it. That, I think we talked about this in our session. People not knowing who they really are. Mm-hmm. So when you don't know who you really are and whose you are, because we talked about that too, then you're always suffering with these self-esteem complexes. But when you know at an early age who you are and whose you are, it empowers you to do what you've been called to do. So from an early age, I knew that matter of fact, okay, let me tell the whole truth. I got kicked out of kindergarten for talking and asking questions. I usually, when some people get me to speak, that's one of the things I normally tell young people. I literally got kicked out of kindergarten for talking and asking questions. And now I literally get paid to talk and ask questions. So oftentimes, even when I taught school, I noticed that oftentimes that the things that people think like let talking and asking questions that was getting me in trouble, that was an inclination from God what I was called to do. That's why it's important to have somebody that kind of knows that can say, let me kind of turn you, let me put you in the speech team, or let me give you a part in the play in school, to kind of, so you can channel that energy into something positive. And so I'm so grateful that even after that kindergarten experience, once I got a little older, people started seeing that in me and started channeling that energy into something positive. And so that's how I've been able to do what I do.
And we are so glad that you did it, because you are blessing the nation. God bless you and all of your endeavors and things that you are doing. We love you over here at on the Gospel East Texas Gospel Industry Network side. Shout out to, everyone who has helped you along the way, everything that motivated you. I can just see you even flying higher. I'm so glad to be around you. And so tell everybody again, if y'all haven't tuned into the Larry W. Robinson show, where can we find you at?
Well, I usually do like the TV station. Check your local listings. I'm probably on one of the stations you're on. But to get a sample of the show, you can actually go to LarryWRobinson.com.
All right, we are looking to so many more. I mean, he's always got somebody. I was going to ask him to name some of the people that he has on his show, but I don't know. That's up to him if he wants.
You talking about on the Larry W. Robinson show or just on?
Just on your show.
Well, on this the show that we just distributed is the one that you did with you interviewed Chris, but we did Christopher Williams. We did the Esther Roll. I really want people to listen to that. And then I'm trying to figure out who in the world that, hold on one second, did we put on the spot to sing? That's going to bother me until I figure it out.
I'm in trouble again.
Oh, no. I know what it is. So I interviewed Jonathan. Let's get Jonathan's name. I did Jonathan Joseph. And it's amazing that we're having this conversation now. I met Jonathan Joseph at the Texas Gospel Music Excellence Award. Am I saying that right? Mm-hmm. Here in Houston. And we interviewed doing the press junket, and I asked him to sing on the spot.
You did at
that's what I have. So I have him singing on the spot, and then I played his song "Speak to Your Future." So that's in the show in the show that we distributed this week.
I don't know how you keep up with all this stuff, because, honey, I'm just not getting started in there, and I'll be like, look, hold on a minute. Let me find this file. Okay.
I thank God I got a little help now. Praise God. My best friend that was there that I did. Oh, I think you were still there you were there with Tony?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Tony. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was helping a lot of people out. But yeah, Tony helps me, thank God. But because it is a lot. Anyway. But you know what? I don't realize it's a lot until I think about it. Because you're just doing, like, somebody said, you do a magazine, you do this show, you how do you do all that? And I said, I just do one thing at a time. I can only do one thing at a time.
Well, you immerse yourself in it, and the reason you're successful is because you delight yourself in what you do. And you're not thinking about something else. You have your vision, your goal in mind, and you're working towards it without looking back. And your faith is not wavering. So that's why it's working out. It's working for your good. I'm excited for you. Can't wait to see what you're doing in the near future. I'm going to have you back on my show after you do some more. And God bless you. You have any last closing remarks?
Listen, be not weary in well doing. For you will reap if you faint not. One of my favorite passages of scripture, which is what one of those books is written on, is from Romans 8:28. But what I like about it, it says, and we know that all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. In this season, you have to know that, first of all, you're called by God, and that no matter what you're going through, God is working even the smallest minute details of your life. He's concerned about those things, and he's working those things together for your good as well. So know that in this season, you are really called, anointed, and appointed, no matter what you're going through. I think, and we were talking just this weekend. Remember, I asked the psychologist this question about people have done stuff in there. I don't know why I'm going this direction, but people have done stuff in their past, and they're still stuck in guilt and shame. But God knew before the foundations of the world that you were going to do what you have done.
Yeah.
And he still provided a way of escape for you. And he still loves you. You're still called. You're still gifted. And you still have a mandate to do what God has called you to do. And he's working even those things, even what you've done that you think is so bad that you'll never get over it and you can never move past it. He's already working that for your good, because now that is now a part of your message to let somebody know I've done it. And I often tell people I did it. And when I did it, I enjoyed it. Let's go and tell the whole truth. But from that, he's still working that for my good and giving me a message for the people to let them know that, hey, I went through it. If I can go through it, you go through it, you can come out as well. So listen, Romans 8:28, and we know that all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose.
Amen. Just confirmation, we spoke about that on one of my last interviews. God can take a situation and restore it. And like you know how sometimes you feel like I got to catch up, I'm not where I'm supposed to be. He can put you right where you're. That's how gracious he is. And then, polish you up. And then no one's gonna even know that you missed a beat.
Well, you know what? In our spiritual practice, we call it divine placement and divine timing. Right where you are, God is. The Bible says, even if you make your bed in hell, he's there. But right where you are, God is. And let me just say, you don't lose nothing. He works it all together for your good. Even what you think is so bad and so terrible, he still works that together for your good. You are right now. You are right where you're supposed to be, because there's lessons and blessings in it. Nothing is a waste. Nothing is an accident. Nothing is a mistake. It's either a lesson or a blessing. So just know that he is working. You are divinely placed right where you are for a lesson or a blessing. So I don't know why I just felt led to share that, but know that nothing is wasted. He's literally working all things together for your good.
Well, I've had a ball. I needed this interview. It fed my soul. And also, just keeping you updated on the latest with Larry W. Robinson. We love you. Peace out.
Bless you.
Bless you too. Don't